Hi, welcome to the Harvest Table. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to have to get a shorter version of my devotion in. I have not had a good day physically. It's been very challenging for me because of being diabetic. I have just really struggled today. I couldn't make my words coherent and just a lot of issues. So it's going to be an abbreviated version, and I do hope something I say will bless you and you'll tune in tomorrow for a more full version. And I'm going to be talking from Mark, the book of Mark, chapter 14, and I'm going to ask you to read this on your own, verse 32 through 52, because even though I'm feeling some better, the reading is just really hard for me today. I'm not sure you'd be able to understand and follow along very well, so I'd ask you to read that on your own. But there's something I want you to notice about this book, the Gospel of Mark, and that is, in this Gospel, it's filled with a lot of action words portraying Jesus constantly on the move with the disciples and performing many miracles. And one thing that I had never really paid much attention to before, but stood out when I studied on this Easter lesson, is that in 3 consecutive chapters, he shows the disciples that it's almost time for his great sacrifice to be made, and he will bring ultimate victory. But in each case when he showed them, the disciples either rejected that teaching altogether or showed themselves more concerned about other things. And you can find that in Mark 8, 31 through 32, Mark 9, 30 through 34, and Mark 10, 32 through 37. And the disciples missed the message that Jesus was trying to tell them because of their own selfish desires. They were looking out for self more than they were looking out for Jesus. And so in this passage we see Jesus going to the garden to pray. And he is in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he tried to tell them there even that he was in agony. He point blank asked them to stay alert and pray with him, but when he came back to them, they had fallen asleep. They could not pray with him. They did not know how to get out of themselves and their need and be more concerned about Jesus and his need. They couldn't do that, could they? And Jesus really needed them at that hour because he truly was in agony, so much so that the Bible teaches that his sweat dropped like blood. And it's been scientifically proven by medical doctors that that is an actual medical condition that does happen in the body. It can become so stressed that that condition actually takes place. And so it did with Jesus there in the garden. But I want to point out something to you there, that struggle in the garden was not just the struggle with human flesh. The struggle Jesus had in the garden was the flesh man and the divine man. Being in the flesh is one thing, but being in the Spirit and being in your Father's will is another. And in the garden, Jesus was suffering. And I can't think of the word because, like I said, I'm not feeling well. My brain's still not functioning well, and I apologize. But he was trying to bring the divine nature into the will, into submission of his Father. And he prayed and prayed and prayed 3 times until he said, "Come on, it's time to go." And when they went, Judas came at him with a band of soldiers who had weapons, and they thought they were going to take Jesus violently, and Judas had indicated Jesus would be the one that he betrayed with a kiss. And that is how they would know who Jesus was, who to arrest. And so Judas did kiss Jesus, and Jesus looked at them and said, "Why are you coming at me with these swords? I was with you in the temple every day, and you didn't seek to arrest me. Why this now?" In other words, he was letting them know, there's no need for that. I'm not a violent man. I'm not going to put up a fight. Do what you have to do. And so they took him. And I wanted to have you think upon Philippians 3:10, because Paul addresses this. And it says that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings, being conformed to his death, if by any means I may attain to the resurrection from the dead. Paul's focus is not nearly on mental knowledge, head knowledge, but on a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. He wants to know the same power that raised Jesus from the dead. He wants to